won't be now.
She's on her.
No, not
No,
yet.
she's on her.
She's
Okay.
there. Sylvia.
Sylvia.
That's on her way. Sorry. That was false alarm. Stop trying to.
So far, we had a very busy and full docket this morning, and then we had some other things in the lunch hour that took longer than anticipated. So again, all unrelated to this case, do not hold it against either side. All right. Where we last left off, State, we were in in your case in chief.
Yes, Your Honor, and then as we spoke, we're going to take a brief out of order with permission from the court.
Yes.
The state would like to call Detective Matthew Flores.
You have a seat. I'm going to swear you in. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you give in this trial will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? All right, you may need to adjust the microphone.
Thank you.
Make sure everybody can hear you. It is pretty powerful.
All right, thank you.
All right, can you introduce yourself to the jury and spell your name for the court reporter, please?
Sure. My name is Matthew Flores, MATTHEWFLORES. I work with the San Antonio Police Department, going on 17 years now in total. I am currently assigned to the Robbery Task Force, and during this case, I was assigned to the crime scene unit.
All right, stay.
Thank you, Your Honor. You've done this before, haven't you?
A couple times, yes, ma'am.
So thanks, you got a lot of the preliminary out of the way. But tell the jury just a little bit more about your background, about how you became a detective and how specifically you got assigned to the crime scene unit back in 2017.
Yes, so once I promoted to detective, I believe it was in 2016, there was a position open for the crime scene unit. I applied and got accepted, and once I made detective, there was about a 2-week school where they kind of go over the photography, fingerprint, but a lot of the training is on-the-job training that I was able to do as well. And that was basically it. Once I made the crime scene unit, like I said, it was a lot of on the job training, and in this case in particular, we did a photography using what's called Blue Star, and Blue Star is a chemical that has luminol in it, and to my understanding, when it reacts with blood or apparent blood, it will produce a light blue glow. And so in this case, when I process the vehicle, that's what we're trying to document.
Okay, well, and then before we do that, let's go back a little bit. Now, were you only assisting at one location on this case?
So in this case, I assisted in 2 locations.
Which locations did you assist?
So the first one was August 6, 2017 at the 5000 block of Chive Drive.
Okay, and what specific?
I was just assisting in trying to find evidence to a missing person. We're looking for apparent blood, a body, clothing, anything to link back to the missing person.
And what was your process in looking for the body?
So there was other crime scene investigators out there at the scene. I was just looking for blood, for hair, for clothing, anything to, like I said, to link it back to the victim. When I got there, I noticed there was another detective, Detective Patton as well. He was already processing the crime scene. I did observe a cup that hasn't been touched or processed, and so I went ahead and processed that cup.
And then talk to the jury specifically about how you processed that cup.
Yeah, so it was a styrofoam cup, and it was near what appeared to be apparent blood. So once I got the cup, it was fingerprinted with black powder, and I also tried to swab the areas where I would think DNA would be, with like the straw, the rim of the cup, and the lid, the plastic lid of the cup. So I would swab that with swabs as well.
Yeah, Rich,
Yes.
So Detective Flores, I'm going to show you, if the screen comes on. Is your screen on in front of you? No, is your screen on?
It's on, yes, ma'am.
We just popped on.
Yes. So I'm going to show you what has been admitted into evidence as State's Exhibit 173. Is this the cup you're talking about?
Yes, ma'am.
And so just kind of circle on there where you're talking about where you did your processing.
Obviously, you can see the black powder on the cup, but the straw I would have swabbed where your mouth would be, and then I would swab the rim, the entire rim of the cup as well, and as well as the actual cup, the rim on the actual cup as well. I would have swabbed that as well for possible DNA.
And then State's Exhibit that's already been admitted as 174, is this also your work on that cup?
Yes, ma'am.
You can clear your red marks. Thank you. And then the jury's heard a little bit about this, but just describe for them in your words what we're looking at with the number 7 placard that's next to the cup.
Yes, so that is just documenting our evidence at a crime scene. So if we had 100 pieces of evidence, we can document each one, what it is, and that way.
Thank you. Yeah, Roger Murphy.
Yes.
All right, Detective, I'm going to show you what has already been marked as State's Exhibit 140. Detective Patton has also looked and I think already opened it up. But can you look at State's Exhibit 140 and make any sort of confirmation about whether some of the work you did might be in that envelope?
So I do recognize the, what I titled it, 2 swabs of E7 top rim area, 2 swabs of the straw, E7A, E7B, E7C, 2 swabs of the plastic lid.
Okay. And does that correspond with the number 7 placard that we see in State's Exhibit 174?
Yes, ma'am.
And so then can you just open up the bag and see?
Yes, ma'am. Which number on the swabs?
Okay. And again, those are the swabs that you... And so when it comes to the 5,000 Chive Drive, did that complete your work at 5,000 Chive Drive, or did you do anything else there?
No, ma'am. That was all I did, was just the processing of the cup.
And then what was the next location that you went to?
So the following day, August 7th, 2017, I was tasked to go to 442 9th Street, which is our secure facility to process vehicles. Kind of gets us out of the weather, the elements inside of a closed storage facility.
Okay. And so what was your intent and your purpose to go to 9th Street that day?
So, and I know I touched on it earlier, but it was to try and document the blood or apparent blood in the vehicle if we could find any. And so that's what our objective was. And when I'm speaking for myself and CSI Duffy, who assisted me that day, but we're trying to document the presence of blood there.
Okay, so were you and CSI Duffy working together?
Yes, ma'am.
Like in tandem, kind of working as a group?
That's correct, yes.
Yeah, for chicken, Your Honor.
Yes.
And so, did you and CSI Duffy take some photographs that day at the 9th Street?
Yes, I photographed the vehicle.
So can you look at States Exhibit 119, 120, 121, 122, and 123 and see if you recognize them?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and how do you recognize them?
I recognize them, for one, my photo board on 119. I have the case number with my name and badge. And then I recognize the vehicle, the blue Hyundai Santa Fe.
Okay. And so do these photos represent the photographs that you took that day on, was it August the 7th you said?
Yes, ma'am. I do.
And then same questions for States Exhibit 136.
Yes, I recognize this photograph.
Okay. And is it a photograph that you took that day on August the 7th?
Yes, ma'am.
And then I have States Exhibit 227, 228, 229, 230, 231, 232, and 233. Could you look at these?
Very good. Yes, ma'am, I recognize this.
And so do these photos also accurately represent some of the work that you and CSI Duffy did on the Hyundai that day on August the 7th?
They do.
Your Honor, state moves to admit States 119 through 123, 136, and 227 through 233.
No objection to 119 through 123. No objection to 136. No objection to 227 through 233, Judge.
All right, so States Exhibits 119 through 123, 136, 227 through 233 are admitted.
Thank you, Your Honor. And then, Detective, before we kind of get into the photos with the jury, and they've already seen a little bit of what the Blue Star looks like in photographic form, tell the jury your process as you're moving through the vehicle, using the Blue Star, and then how you photograph it.
Yeah, so that day, CSI Duffy was actually training me, and so she was spraying the interior of the vehicle, and I'm just kind of documenting, the process. But from my understanding, it was just the interior, spraying the interior areas of the vehicle. And then once we would spray it, we would turn the lights off. And so that chemical, like I said, it produces a light blue glow if it reacts with blood. And it's a presumptive test. So the process would be, if we see a light blue glow, we would swab it, package that up, and submit it to the lab. And the lab would be the final outcome to say if it's blood or not. That was kind of the process. Spray the interior of the vehicle and document any areas that were glowing light blue.
And for Contreras.
Yes.
So, for example,
I'm gonna try, see if this works. Try to kind of show States Exhibit 133 and 228 kind of at the same time. Because I kind of want you to explain to Jerry, like, why one appears lighter where we can easily see what portion of the vehicle we're looking at, where the other one might be a little bit more difficult to see exactly what portion of the vehicle we're viewing.
Yeah, so I believe 133, we did have the lights off, and I accidentally had the flash on, and so it was still able to document the light blue glow that you see. And so the following picture, make sure the flash was off, and that's why it appears darker.
And I know kind of the glare of the lights above the projector, it's a little bit hard to see, but can you show us, well, do 133 and 228 depict similar areas of the vehicle?
Yes, ma'am, it does. If you look at 133, may I draw?
Yes, please.
So at 133, this corner right here, it's going to be, to my knowledge, this same section right there.
So just a little bit different perspective of kind of the same area.
Yes, ma'am, maybe a little bit of a different angle.
And Norma, can I pass one of these around to the, because the light kind of affects?
Yes.
And so we're gonna kind of do a similar thing with states 129 and 137. Tell me if I get any of this wrong. And 139 is super hard to see. You know what? You want to kind of approach?
Yes.
And it's actually 137, 139. So it's 229 and 137. And I'll also show you 136, see if it helps.
137, it looks like the bottom of the hatch. I know it's hard to see up there, but if you compare it to 229, it looks like the bottom of the hatch, because I can kind of see the left tail light area.
Okay, well then what I'll do is because it's a little bit easier to see with the naked eye, I'm gonna pass 137 around to the jury, and then I'm gonna have you on 229 kind of circle what area we're looking at in 137.
So looking at that photograph with the blue star, I believe you're seeing that general area.
Okay. So is that kind of like the bottom lip of the cargo area, maybe the top of the bumper, that area?
Yes, ma'am, that's what it looks like to me.
Oh, sorry, I moved
You're
it.
fine. Yes, ma'am.
And then looking at 136, it appears that there's some, I don't know, lack of a better word, dripping down off the bumper. Do you know, if you know, what that is?
I believe that's the rundown spray from the Blue Star, just the excessive spraying of it.
So then, without the special lighting, it appears clear, is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
And then, similarly with these two, we're looking at States Exhibit 92,
In this picture.
and then States Exhibit 138. So, describe what we're seeing in States Exhibit 138.
There's just certain areas in the vehicle that's showing the light blue glow.
Okay, so are you able to explain to the jury why in States Exhibit 92, when we look at the naked eye of the steering wheel, it doesn't appear, I guess at least in this picture, States Exhibit 92, that anything is there, but yet we can see how illuminated it is in 138. Do you know what the difference is and why it would be that way?
So, again, to my understanding, the Blue Star process is best seen with the lights off. And I know the other picture, the flash happened to go off, but the proper way is to have the lights off to really kind of document the area. I don't know, the exact science behind it, but you want to be able to see it with the naked eye, to my knowledge.
Okay. So then in your training experience with Blue Star, are there occasions where with the naked eye, you're not seeing anything of any sort of apparent blood, but then you put the Blue Star on and then you get the illumination? Is that fairly common?
Yes, ma'am. I would say that's an accurate statement. I know, to my knowledge, Blue Star is used to document crime scenes where maybe blood has been cleaned up or in those type of situations. So that's also a technique that's been used.
That's what it's.
The cup. And, was there liquid in the cup, if you recall?
I'm not sure, sir. I don't remember.
Does your report help you in any way?
Yes, sir. If you have it, I'll read it.
I actually don't. Do y'all have a copy of that report? Michelle? Sure. Yeah, no, it's not necessary. Your approach, Judge. Your approach, Judge.
Yes.
I'm gonna show you to see if you recognize this, just to help refresh your memory.
Yes, sir.
I'm just talking about the cup you found over on Chive.
Okay.
Okay, does that help refresh your memory, sir?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and so now let's go back. Did the cup have anything in it? In the photograph, it appears to be upright. When you found it originally, is that the way it was found, or did you upright it for the photograph?
So, however it had the E7 placard is the way it was found.
Okay,
To my knowledge.
so upright.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
However they found it. Yeah.
And would you agree with me? The reason you went to the trouble to first photograph it was to act us the way it was found. So like if it was this can, and you took a picture like that, that's the way you found it. And like somebody was drinking it and sat it down, right?
And so the way it was found, I don't know if it could have been blown over by the wind or whatnot, but the way it was found, that's how it was processed. I didn't photograph the cup, I just assisted in processing the cup.
Okay. And several things. You process it first for fingerprints.
The areas where I felt where a hand would grab the cup, that's where I checked for fingerprints.
And so in the photo.
Just press them out.
Thank you. No, I'll just walk over to you. May I approach the witness, Judge?
Yes.
So I'm going to show you what they've marked as 73 and 74. Do you recognize those?
Yes, sir.
So is that the cup we're talking about?
That is.
So my first question is, you said found in the field, but it looks to me like it's sitting on pavement. Right?
There was a section that
Photograph sitting in the road, that's where you found it,
so
not
there-
in a field.
So there should be an overall picture. Whoever photographed the crime scene here or the scene, there should be an overall area where all the evidence was documented.
Right.
And so these are just what I'm looking at is close-ups of the cup.
Okay, then there's the field. I'll agree with you. There's a field adjacent to this. But if this cup was photographed, like you said, that's where it was found. Nobody touched it. Nobody moved it. You walked up to it. You put a placard down. You didn't take the pictures, right?
No, sir.
Somebody else took the pictures. But your understanding is that's how it was found and where it was found, right? If you know.
To my understanding, that when we put a placard down, this is how it was found.
Right, and you've been doing this a long time, right?
For a little bit, yes, sir.
Okay, so you talk about the fingerprint stuff. That's the black powder I see in 173 and 174.
That's correct.
And the purpose of that is to see if there are in fact any legible fingerprints to be obtained from this evidence.
That's correct, sir.
Okay. And then the second thing you did to identify the person who had left the cup there was swabbed for potential DNA evidence, correct?
That's correct.
And how do you tell? And you described the technique, and those samples were maintained and preserved correctly. Is that right?
Yes, sir. Those are the ones I just viewed.
And the purpose of doing that is so the jury can know who was there that night, right?
It is to assist the detectives in developing a lead on
Sure.
if DNA comes back to the cup.
So, like, if there's a sheet that lists a couple of suspects and the cup's on there, we need to know which one of these suspects the cup belongs to, right? That would be important.
So that is for the lead. And I only knew there was a missing person, and I'm looking
Right.
for evidence. And so I processed the cup because we're trying to assist in a possible lead.
Okay. Did you process any other pieces of evidence at the child location, to your knowledge?
No, sir, I believe that cup. So from that cup, several swabs were taken.
Okay. Now, let's fast forward to the next day. And the next day, as I understand it, was, I think you said August the 17th, but could it have been August the 7th? Or maybe I wrote it down wrong.
No, sir, August the 7th is accurate.
August the
Yeah.
7th, okay. Now, when you were did you know that was not the first day that car had been processed?
Yes, sir.
You did know that.
I did know that, yes, sir.
Were you there when because the first day the car was processed, I believe, was what, August the 4th?
I don't know.
Okay. Was that the first day you'd been to the car, August the 7th?
The first day for me, yes, sir.
And on
It was me and CSI Duffy.
just the two of you?
That's correct.
Okay. And you've kind of talked about what you did. One of the things about the blue star spray, you remember you and I talked at a previous hearing, some blue spray that in fact was not a result of blood. You remember you and I talking about that before?
A article that was blue, and I know we were kind of going back and forth. I do remember that conversation, yes, sir.
And the gist of the conversation, we ended up agreeing that some of the stuff perhaps wasn't blood, but it still turned.
With the lights on, or in one of the photographs that I viewed up here, you can see it blue, but with the lights completely off, you do not see that particle.
And then finally, on the 7th, when you were there with the car, am I understanding from reading the reports correctly that you did not have anything to do with attempting to lift fingerprints from the car like you did from the cup?
That's correct. I was strictly, the Blue Star process was
Okay.
my involvement.
Is that because fingerprints weren't attempted or because you did not attempt the prints, if you remember?
My understanding is the vehicle was processed, was trying to document the Blue Star process.
Okay. Thank you, sir. That's all I have. And I'll return to the
I
stage.
might just have one follow-up, there's no need to look at that list real quick if you don't mind.
Sorry.
No, you're good. I have heard
He
it.
still has his vote.
Yeah, pretty sure.
Yes.
So Detective Flores, let's look back at 140, and 140 is the envelope that contains the swabs that you've identified are your E7. Do you want to confirm that?
You said 140? Okay.
Yeah,
So-
it's my
okay.
140.
Got it.
You go about identifying different pieces of whether it's swab or evidence that may not have its own unique identifier, right? So all swabs look the same. So how, as a CSI investigator, do y'all go about keeping track of the different swabs of the different areas that you collect from?
Yeah, so each swab would be documented. A lot of the same information you see on our individual barcodes. These individual barcodes has its own, basically like a serial number. But we would mark it if, for example, if this was E7 Charlie, as C is in Charlie, we would mark the swab E7C and E7B, and that way, in this example, I have several swabs, so I have it marked E7A, E7B, and so that way I can document which swab came from which area.
Okay. And so then, and each of those have a unique serial number attached to them, correct?
That's correct. Basically, what we call our barcodes.
Okay. And so then showing you what's been marked as States Exhibit 117, could you look at E4 in States 117? And then just see if that interferes with the serial number on your E7, or are they different?
No, the barcodes would be different.
So even if in 117 E4 might be a similar type of item that was swabbed, the serial numbers are different.
Correct.
And just one final question, so just confirm for me where your E7, the cup that you found your E7?
So that was at my report is 5,000 block of Chive Drive.
Okay. And was that inside of a vehicle or outside of a vehicle or some other place?
No, ma'am, that was outside it was in the open.
Pass the witness room.
Nothing further.
We're at the rules when invoked, you know what that means?
Not to speak about.
If you don't mind placing the documents, are those your excuse?
Thank you, sir.
Right, stay, you can call your next witness.
We have just a moment, Judge, just for labeling.
Yes.
Thank you, Judge. Okay, thank you, Judge.
You're welcome.
And the state's gonna call back, since I made Duffy.
Mary, did he give you his report?
Yes.
You can have a seat. All right, you're still under oath.
Yes, sir.
All right, so stay.
Thank you, Judge. Your Honor, may I approach witness?
Yes.
Okay, so just to remind you where we were, back yesterday, we had gone through what's been already marked as State's Exhibit 117, and you had told us about the packaging and the processing, and we had talked about the barcodes. You remember that?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, remind me, those were the swabs that you collected from the vehicle on that first processing that you did on August 4th, is that right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So now, I'm going to show you what's been marked as State's Exhibit number 234. And can you tell us what that is?
Is the swabs that I collected on August 7th, and it's also, it looks like it may contain the brown towel from August 4th.
Okay. So, I'm going to show you some more photographs that have been marked as State's Exhibit 230, 231, 232, and 233. Do you recognize those photos?
Yes, sir.
And are those the photos that you took when you were processing, I guess, the swab areas on that 8-7 process?
These might be Matt Flores pictures.
Okay, so you didn't take those photos, but are
Yes.
those the areas that you swabbed on 8-7?
Yes, sir.
And do those photos accurately kind of depict that, you know, that area that you were taking those samples from?
Yes, sir.
And have they been altered in any way?
No, sir.
And Your Honor, State will move to admit State's Exhibit 230, 31, 32, 33 into evidence. And taking those to the defense after any objections.
I think they're already good again.
Can you get these?
Yeah.
31, 32, and 33, they're in. Okay, good. Now, I'm going to show you on the, Your Honor, may I publish?
Yes.
So obviously, we've talked about how there's the 2 different days of processing, and so I'm going to show you the photos from that first day, which is right here on State's Exhibit number 105. We talked about this. This is that first number 1 evidence placard. This spot that you took the swab from, which package is that? Which, I guess using the exhibit number, which package is that swab contained in?
In 117.
Okay, and is that the same for what would be, I guess, evidence number 2 depicted in states 106?
Yes, sir.
And then the same thing for states 107?
Yes, sir.
And the same thing for states 108?
Yes, sir.
And the same thing for states 109?
Yes, sir.
And then last, the same thing for states 110.
Yes, sir.
Now, if you could, just for the sake of being thorough, would you mind going ahead and opening up states 117 just to make sure that those swabs are contained in that package?
Do you have scissors? Or a knife?
So, having had a second to go through it, is each, I guess, individual item in that packaging?
Yes, sir.
And how is it that you know that?
So the barcode matches what should have been on the report. And then my initials, badge, and date are on the back of each one of these on the red tape. And this one as well.
Okay. And you kind of told us a lot about how you do that process at the end of the day yesterday, right? As far as how you, that procedure?
Yes, sir.
Okay. You can go ahead and put those in the bag while I... package, which is labeled as states 234, that you thought that the towel that you had collected on 84 was actually in that package as well.
I think so, according to this barcode sheet.
Okay, and so I'm showing you what's been marked as States Exhibit 111. Is that the towel that you're referring to?
Yes, sir.
And that's, I guess, identified as evidence number 7?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So now I'm going to show you what's been previously admitted as States Exhibit number 230. I think it's a little blurry, so it's hard to see on the projector, but I'm going to bring it to you just so it's easier for you to see. Can you tell us what piece of evidence that is depicting?
It should be item of evidence E1.
Okay, and what is item of evidence E1?
We took a swab of apparent blood in the back.
Okay, and same thing, I'm anticipating that it's probably going to be blurry on the projector. I will test it. States Exhibit number 231. It looks pretty blurry, so I'm going to walk it to you. Showing you States Exhibit 231. What is it that's in that photo?
I believe that's item of evidence E2.
And
which
what was?
A swab of apparent blood.
Okay, same thing for States Exhibit number 232.
Yes, sir. Item of evidence E3, which was a swab of apparent blood.
Okay, and then States Exhibit number 233.
Yes, sir. Swab of apparent blood. It was E4.
All right. Now, when you tell us about that process of how you take those swabs, how you preserve them, package them for this case, for this investigation.
Yes, sir. So, like we explained yesterday, we will get the sterile, they're in a package that's sterile. There's 2 cotton applicators, and we will put distilled water on them, and then we will swab the areas that we are collecting, and then they are put back into that package, and then we will write the case information on that package, and then they are put into a brown envelope, and then they are sealed with clear tape on all factory seals. Then we put red tape, which goes across the brown envelope and across the clear tape as well. And then we initial badge and date, which has to go across the envelope, the clear tape, and the red tape to show that it's sealed.
Now, when you're doing that for the swabs that have the, I guess, the Blue Star swabs versus the standard swabs, is any part of that different?
No, sir.
Okay. Now, if you could, go ahead and take a second to open up State's Exhibit number 234 and just make sure that those swabs that are identified using the barcodes on that package are in fact the same swabs. And then here's those scissors for you.
Thank you, sir. Yes, sir.
And so, are those items the same items?
Yes, sir.
And so, how is it that you know that?
It has the barcode that's associated. It has a case number. It's the barcode that's associated with each item of evidence. And on the back of each one, it has my initials, badge, and date on them, on both the top and the bottom for the red tape.
And then, just for the sake of thoroughness, again, that barcode is unique to that piece of evidence.
Yes, sir.
And then 18F, is that towel that you were referring to?
Yes, sir.
And when you were collecting those samples, did you follow the procedure, accordingly? Did you do all the different steps you're supposed to do in order to preserve the evidence awaiting?
Yes, sir.
I think you can go ahead and start trying to put them back in.
Yes.
Good?
Yes, sir.
So, as I understand it, you went to the car twice.
Yes, sir.
correct? Okay. And the first time was August the 4th of 2017.
Yes, sir.
And on that day, you went, and Detective Espinosa was also present.
Yes, sir.
And Espinosa was there because he was the lead detective, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, August the 4th is a significant date because the next day, August the 5th, Espinosa sent some people to collect clothes. Did you go or have anything to do with the collection of clothes the next day on August the 5th?
No, sir.
Okay.
Could I please have a copy of my report? I gave it to them yesterday.
Of course.
Yes, sir.
You got one.
I do. May I approach, Judge?
Yes.
Thank you.
Of course. That's the four. I wrote on the top the dates just so it'll
Sure.
for me, but now you can look at them, okay?
I appreciate it.
Of course. But on the took some pictures of the car, and you didn't do the blue star until the 7th, correct?
Correct.
But on the 4th, am I correct in understanding that even to the naked eye, it was obvious, at least it appeared, that there was a substance that you and Espinosa,
Car, yes, sir.
and I think from the pictures, you could say not just a little bit of blood, but a decent amount. I mean, more than would make one comfortable.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So Espinosa at that point was there with you, and he saw this car. He knew who the car belonged to, and he knew that there was a good amount of blood in that car, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And on that day, thank you, you just did some presumptive test for blood, is that correct?
Yes, sir. I photographed the car, and then we did some presumptive tests, and I collected what was requested to be collected out of the vehicle.
Now, when you say what was requested to be collected, are those requests made by Espinosa?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, in your position at that time, if you felt like he missed something, are you in the position to say, hey, how about we do this? Or how about we do that? Or do you, I'm not trying to be demeaning or degrading, I'm just asking the question.
I understand.
Okay.
So we work together closely, right? A lot of times they have information that we don't have, or a lot of times information comes out at a later time. So we try to communicate well with them. That's why he was out there that day, helping search the car. That's why we, CSI Hurst and myself, did the presumptive test, because the color of those stains was like a brownish color. So that was why we did the presumptive test and then swabbed them to have them submitted.
And the presumptive test came back. So not only one, when you looked at it, you thought to yourself, and at that point you were experienced, you were training people, you were so experienced, right?
Yes, sir.
So not only did you think it was blood, your presumptive test came back and told you, presumptively, it tests positive for blood, right?
Positive for mammal blood, yes, sir.
Also that he was there when you did those presumptive tests, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, so we did those, you collected the evidence. Did you take pictures and inventory? I don't see in your report a complete inventory of the inside of the purse. Did you inventory the purse and its entire contents?
No, he wanted that collected for, we separated the paper with the blue sticky note on there,
Yes, ma'am.
because it had evidence on it. Everything else was more personal property. So it was just collected and secured, because when the car goes to Groudon, it'll be in an open space. So we will secure things of value, and that purse had value to it. So it was just taken to secure it.
But what about anything in the purse that may have been of any evidentiary value?
It was the actual piece of paper that had the blood on it, or the apparent blood. That's
But
what was
about a
separated.
calendar or
I didn't see any. I don't remember. I didn't search the purse.
Okay.
I was told to photograph the ID that was in there, just to show that there was an ID associated with that purse. And then there was that paper found in there, and I was requested to collect it.
to the contrary, were you told not to search the purse?
No, sir.
Now the brown towel that was, we had the picture of it all folded up neatly. It wasn't found like that. It was found in the back of the car. Is that correct?
I do believe it was in the back of the car.
Okay. Now, are you the first person to gain access to the car since it had been towed from where it was found to the location where you processed it?
Yes, sir. So those vehicles are taken from whatever location, and they are followed to 9th Street. They are secured in one of the stalls, which that day it was stall number 1. We have 3 stalls. And until there is a warrant secured or consent to search or whatever they are going on, then nobody messes with those cars. They are secured, they are left alone. So when we get there, we were the first people to actually enter the vehicle.
So the pictures that show us the interior of the car, as far as you know, that's the way it was found on the side of the street when it was originally located by whoever found it.
I'm not sure what happened at the scene. I'm only aware of what happened at 9th Street. That's a secured facility that only the crime scene unit has access to, and it is secured, and we do not enter those vehicles until we are told we can.
Okay. So if the evidence suggests that when the car was found, wherever it was found, nobody got in it, and it was towed to you, or to your look to stall number 1, and you're the first person in it, the pictures should accurately reflect the way it was found, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So the seats then, and when you take the initial pictures, do you move the seats or do anything to adjust the interior of the car prior to taking the photographs?
Absolutely not. That car is photographed from the exterior, and then we move to the interior. Nothing is moved, nothing is touched until we have those original documenting photographs to show how that vehicle was found.
So the position of the driver's seats as far as proximity to the steering wheel, that's as it was found.
Yes, sir. Nobody touched that car, moved any seats.
And I think, as I recall, the passenger seat behind the driver's seat is down. So that's the way you found it. Or not
I'd
you
have
found
to
it, but that's the way it
see.
appeared to you.
Yes, sir. I'd have to see a picture to know for sure, but however it was when we get there and we document it, that's the way it is.
Now we saw the with the assistance of Blue Star, the steering wheel, right?
Mhm.
And it looks like the Blue Star shows a continuous pattern of something around the entire surface of the steering wheel, right?
The entire steering wheel chemiluminesce, that blue color, it glows.
Right.
Yes, sir.
And that's consistent, so that doesn't mean necessarily, or that's consistent with at least some blood having been on the steering wheel possibly, and then that blood being spread around the steering wheel, right?
Possibly, yes, sir. It's a presumptive blood.
Right.
Mhm.
And then you, as directed by Espinosa, and as you've disclosed throughout, mostly the driver's compartment, right?
Yes, sir.
And feel free to review your report with me. Did you, if you remember, process the passenger compartment of the car for any DNA samples? Either, and I'll make it either on the 4th or the 7th.
So on the 7th, we did spray the entire car with Blue Star. And the areas that chemiluminesce, they were documented and photographed. So if they didn't chemiluminesce, they were not photographed. They were just the overall photographs taken of that. On the 4th,
Let me ask you this. Did you only take or attempt to get DNA samples from where there was apparent blood, or did you also swab surfaces that did not have apparent blood to try to attempt the acquisition of DNA samples?
I was advised to swab the apparent blood in the different locations. So
So
that
you
is what we
only
did.
tried to get DNA from the apparent blood?
Yes, sir.
Okay. To swabbing the apparent blood samples. So, but and the reason I ask, you can, in your experience, am I correct in that you can get DNA from a surface like a stereo knob, correct?
You would have to talk to the.
And you can swab. I was in a case recently where they swabbed seatbelt buckles.
Yes, sir.
That's not unusual, is it?
Depending on the case and what they're requesting at the time, no, sir.
And
It's
door handles,
They can if that is requested, yes.
Now, in this case, specifically, I think you could agree with me that you had reason to believe that something had been placed in the back of that car, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and that's what that car has, like a hatchback or a cargo area.
A cargo area, yes, sir.
And one of the ways to get into that is there's a latch on the back of the car, right? I think the pictures show that.
Yes, sir.
And did you attempt to get DNA samples to see who had touched or who had grabbed that latch to open the back of that car?
I did not. Usually if they're going to do that, that's done at the scene prior to it being moved by and the tow truck drivers touching the exterior of the car. So I don't know what was done prior to it arriving at 9th Street.
And that's not something Espinosa directed you to do?
No, sir.
Did you know whether or not Espinosa had been present when the tow truck
I don't
hooked up the
know.
car?
I don't know, sir. A lot of times these happen over multiple shifts, and I don't really know what goes on other shifts, just what I'm involved in myself.
So let's talk about fingerprints. I want to ask just the last thing I have, questions I have. I think when I reviewed your report on the 7th, I think it was the 7th. Let me.
The 4th.
Oh, it was the 4th?
Yes,
okay.
sir.
It says attempted but not found. Is that correct? You attempted to fingerprint some spots, but you had no luck. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. I searched the exterior and the interior of vehicle, the Hyundai, for latent prints, and I had negative results. I also searched the E4, which I think is that cup. I searched it for prints as
Another
well.
cup?
No, that one that we collected, E4, the quench cup that was in the center
The
console.
one inside the truck? Okay.
Yes, sir.
Excuse me, the car.
Yes, sir. The Hyundai. Mm-hmm.
Now let's just briefly, is it unusual to have no success with fingerprints?
Absolutely.
It's unusual?
No, it happens a lot.
Okay,
Like
'cause-
we search cars in this city with the dust. A lot of times we won't get prints on them.
Would you agree with me, it's kind of a common misconception that you're gonna get fingerprints all the time, right? I mean, I think society thinks you're always gonna get these fingerprints thanks to CSI and TV, but it's not as frequent as they believe, is it?
Yes, sir. You are correct.
Okay. That's all I have, Judge, and thank you for coming back today.
Thank you. I appreciate y'all working with me.
Just a few questions, Judge.
Oh, yes, sir.
Just for real quick clarifications.
Oh, no, you're fine.
So when you're processing a vehicle like this one, are you necessarily collecting all the items that are in that vehicle?
No, sir.
Okay. And so how is it that you choose?
So anything it depends on what they want in their search warrants or what we are being directed to. So for example, the purse was something of value, so it was removed from the car to have it secured until the family could take custody of the purse. The towel, I don't remember if the towel had apparent blood on it, but that might have been why we collected that. The cup in the front, they could submit that later on to have it tested for possible DNA. Most of the other stuff in the back was personal property. Like, I think there was a float back, a pink float with kid stuff. It wouldn't really have any evidentiary value for what this
So that
case
stuff
was.
wasn't collected?
No, sir.
Okay. And then, you said that, you're looking for apparent signs of apparent blood, I guess. And that's just naked eye apparent blood.
Yes, sir.
And so if you don't see something that looks like blood, you're not gonna notice swab there.
Yes, sir. That's correct.
And then to distinguish that from what you were doing on 8/8, I think you kind of answered in your question Mr. Blunk asked you. You're spraying it, and then basically whatever glows, that's where you're going to go ahead and swab.
We will swab or collect it. If we're able to collect that, then we will turn that in. If we can't, then we will swab it.
Okay. No further questions, Judge.
Nothing further, Judge.
All right, if you don't mind putting that together, leaving it on the ledge for the court reporter. Yes, ma'am. And also the scissors, if you don't mind. I appreciate that.
No problem.
Your
Thank you, Judge. I appreciate it.
Yes, ma'am.
Need that hearing outside the presence of the jury now.
Right, members of the jury, I'm gonna give y'all a break. We're gonna take the matter outside your presence. I don't know how long it would take. If you recall yesterday, I also let you know that we don't know how long we'll go at this time. We'll let you know when we're ready for you. All right, so the jury.
You may be seated.
Let's take a short break. Sorry about that. Did I hurt somebody?
some steps to make I think they're gonna be jail phone calls, to make them admissible, such as somebody has to be able to identify the voices on the tapes and all that, and I think that needs to be done outside the presence of the jury before the judge can make a ruling on whether or not that has to be done to make them relevant to this case, so I'd ask that all be done outside the presence of the jury. I'm sure they have somebody lined up to identify the voices and all that, but I'd ask that be done outside the presence of the jury so the court can make the ruling on relevancy.
And the state calls Sylvia Castillo.
You have a seat. Or affirm that the testimony you give in this trial will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so you may need to adjust it. All right, state.
Thank you, Judge. So, obviously the jury's not in here, but could you tell us who you work for?
IC Solutions.
Okay, and so what does IC Solutions do?
We do communication services for jails and prisons across the nation.
Okay, and so what does it mean to do communication services for the jail?
We provide phone services, video services, and tablet services.
And so are you a custodian of records for IC Solutions?
Yes, sir.
And when someone goes to jail, how is it that they get set up with an account?
They need to enroll into the phone, so they put in their SID number, it's done, then they read some verbiage, and then once the system gets enough of their voice to match with that SID number plus the passcode, then they're enrolled into the phone.
And so, and IC Solutions doesn't assign inmates a SID number,
No,
but the inmates then choose and select their own PIN number.
passcode, yes, sir.
Passcode. And then there's also voice authentication.
Yes,
Certification?
yes.
Okay. And so, what are those the measures that they're using only their account?
Yes, sir.
Now, okay, so did you have an opportunity to listen to any particular recordings for today's testimony, to prepare for today's testimony?
Yes, sir, I did.
And you did listen to them?
Yes, sir.
Now, I guess let me ask, when an inmate makes a jail call, or I guess a phone call from the jail,
Mhm.
are those calls recorded?
Yes, they are.
And are they recorded at the time the phone call's being made?
Yes, sir.
And those recordings, are they kept in the ordinary course of business?
Yes, sir.
Now, in those recordings that you listened to, did the person making that call, I guess, information that comes from that call being the ID number, the passcode number, the voice authentication, and the SID number, do all of those also attach to Guadalupe Contreras?
Yes.
That's what it's trying.
Are you the custodian of records for the software that does voice identification?
I'm the custodian of records for IC Solutions.
Right, but you didn't develop the voice, did you?
No, sir, I
Okay,
did
you
not.
can't vouch for the validity of the software for voice identification, can you?
With the system that identified Guadalupe Contreras as making the phone calls?
Right, but that's all you know, is this some system somewhere said, I think that's him.
Yes.
Okay. Because you're the custodian of records for the recordings, correct?
Yes, sir.
But that's your task here today.
Right from the system, and then, yes.
You don't know anybody's voice. You don't know Guadalupe Contreras, correct?
No, I don't know him. No.
Well, then, Judge, at this point, I objected. She certainly cannot. This does not satisfy the predicate. She's the custodian of records for the phone calls, but that doesn't make whatever phone call she can relevant to this trial. Until somebody takes a stand and says, I've listened to them and they're his voice. I mean, so I will object, and I do object.
All right, response?
Well, Judge, she's the custodian of records for IC Solutions, and she already kind of delineated how there's 3 different levels of authentication that tie any given voice that's making the call from the jail to the defendant. And so that is actually what establishes the identity of the voice on the phone. And also, Judge, his argument goes to weight, not admissibility in case.
Okay. All right, I'm looking up a couple of cases. Is there anything else that we need to get out of the witness before we proceed?
No.
Okay. All right, let's take a brief recess and let me look up some things.
Is it still raining out there? Is it what? Oh, yes.
Did you have a question?
No, I just didn't know.
It won't go through it. Yeah, that's good enough. Thank you.
All right, the court has reviewed some applicable case law. I'll overrule the objection. Anything else?
No, Your Honor.
Will the court cite for the record the cases it reviewed? Just.
Sure. Let's see. Our Westlaw site, 2019 WL 4585447. Court of Appeals, taxis Amarillo. I'm also looking at Fowler, 544 Southwest 3rd, 848 through 849, which specifically references authentication, a couple of other things kind of moved on. Segundo versus State, 9-23-00332-CR. It's a Westlaw site, 2024 Westlaw 428.
least know which two of the group we're gonna, I'd like to know which ones, just for my edification, which ones of the group we're gonna hear. If I should have done that, I just thought right now,
No, it's understandable. I get it.
which ones?
So the,
She says with
Yeah.
disgust.
Oh, I.
But it's the same one, it's the same one from the last trial.
You're different.
It's the same two?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, the judge, I'm ready.
Okay.
It's the same one from, I just wanted to make sure, thank you. But just for the record, I'll object to hearsay, like I did at the last trial, and I'm assuming they'll say not, I'm
Got it?
can I get a ruling?
Yes, that is overruled.
Okay, there we go.
Yeah.
Thank you, Judge.
thank you, Judge.
In the future, feel free to make our response. Now I'm saying we don't want
But that, I mean, that's the response.
that.
Right?
Yes, it is. We're good.
And I've said it, it's great to have great attorneys in this case, on both sides. On both sides.
Oh, but you weren't streaming that.
Thank y'all both so much for listening to my podcast.
Yeah.
Ready, guys? All rise for the jury. May be seated.
All right, welcome back, members of the jury. State, you can call your next witness.
And Your Honor, the state calls Sylvia Castillo.
All right, ma'am, you've already been sworn. Can you introduce yourself to the jury, please?
My name is Sylvia Castillo and I work for IC Solutions.
State.
Thank you, Judge. Ms. Castillo, you told us that you work for IC Solutions. What is IC Solutions?
We do handle communication services for jails and prisons across the nation.
Okay, and does that include Bexar County?
It does.
And so, I guess, what is it that communication services are for Bexar County?
We handle phone services and video services for Bexar County.
And so the phone services that you provide to the Bexar County Jail, what is it that they do?
We actually process all of their phone calls.
Now, when an inmate is taken to the
They
Bexar,
enter in their SID number, they voice to match with that SID number and passcode. So the next time they make a phone call, if everything matches, it'll go out.
and are you a custodian of records for IC Solutions?
Yes, sir.
Now, you said a second ago that they establish a passcode, that's a passcode that they create themselves?
Yes, sir.
And then you said that they enter in their SID number. What is the SID number?
The SID number is their ID, inmate ID that's assigned by the county.
Okay, and so that's not a number that is created by IC Solutions?
No, sir.
And is, to your knowledge, is a SID number unique to each individual inmate?
Yes, sir.
Now, you also have their voice in order for it to be authentifiable?
Yes, sir.
Now, are those the three measures, I guess, that exist in order to ensure that any particular inmate is using only their own account?
Yes, sir.
And so so there's three levels of identification. If an inmate makes a call and the voice authentication doesn't match, will the call go through?
No, sir.
So, when a call is made at Bear County, is that call recorded?
Yes, sir.
And is it recorded at the time or near the time that? Now, did you have an opportunity to listen to some Bear County jail calls in order to prepare for your testimony today?
I did.
And did you listen to them?
I did. Yes, sir.
Your Honor, may I approach?
Yes.
So I'm bringing you what has been marked as State's Exhibit number 79. Do you recognize that?
Yes.
And what is it?
2 call recordings from Mr. Contreras.
Okay, and is this the disc that you listen to?
It is.
So what's the process that you use in order to make sure that the recordings on this disc are the recordings that were
I
recorded?
listen to them straight from our system first, and then when I come in, then I listen to them off the disc.
Okay, and how is it that you know that this disc is the disc that you listen to?
The call sequence number is unique to every single phone call
Okay.
at the jail.
And do you do anything to this disc to, I guess, denote it as being your disc?
Initial and sign it.
Now,
I'm sorry, date it.
and so having listened to the disc and the recordings on the disc, did the individual making the calls identify themselves in the recordings?
Yes.
And who did they identify themselves as?
Guadalupe Contreras.
And the PIN number that was used to make the phone call, to whom was that PIN number associated to?
To Mr. Contreras.
And then lastly, the SID number that was used to make that phone call, to whom was that SID number attached to?
Mr. Contreras.
Your Honor, at this time, the state would offer State's Exhibit number 79 to evidence pending any objections.
Objections have been
Please
made.
note my prior objection.
Yes, they've been made, preserved for the record, overruled, and I will admit State 79.
And Your Honor, may I publish?
Yes.
Number that's assigned to each individual call. Are they assigned in sequence?
It's a call sequence number. There's tons of calls going on, but they're individual for each call.
Call number 8276678. Inmate ID 70017.
And so I'm pausing the playback at 11 seconds. For the purposes of the record, I'm going to fast forward through the introductory information that plays when they're making a call.
Okay.
Date. Para Español. 35 a.m. to place a call. Please enter your PIN number. After the tone, please say your first and last name. Say your first and last name. To report any type of sexual abuse or sexual harassment, press 0 followed by *511. Press 0 to make a collect or prepaid collect call or speed dial call. Press 3 to make a free call. Press 9 for help. Press for calls within the United States, Canada, and the Caribbean. Please enter the area code prefix. For calls within the United States, Canada, and the Caribbean, please enter the area code, prefix, and number. call at no expense to you from
Contreras.
an inmate at Bexar County Jail. To accept this call, press or say 5. To refuse this call, hang up now. To block this call, this call will be recorded and subject to monitoring at any time. Thank you for using IC Solutions. You may begin speaking now.
Hello? Hey.
Where's your kids?
Huh?
Where's your kids?
The kids are at home. I'm not at home.
Where you at?
I'm out. I came to find some stuff out, but, I'll be heading home in a little bit. My kids are at the house. Beba has a scheduled appointment to see you Monday, but before he goes to go see you Monday morning, I'm gonna make my appointments before this.
Why?
We're gonna go visit you. Huh?
Why?
Your family we're gonna pawn you out, darling.
They're gonna screw me. The detective, I told him about the text line, he don't care.
I know, the GPS is the one that they did a sequel
1 minute remaining.
saying that the GPS, the GPS on the phone.
I was gonna go in there and then I called you.
I know, your family's willing to bond you out. We're all willing to bond you out. Your son's willing to find me. All your family's willing to find to get you out. But we were gonna go Monday to ask if you wanted to come out.
That's too much money.
It's only $1,500.
Dude, I can't sacrifice it, I don't care.
No, you can't. Baby, Carmen went crazy.
I'm giving up.
Baby, don't do it. If you're innocent, you're innocent. If you're guilty, you're guilty. I don't care.
The detective, he don't care, he gave me attitude.
I understand that, sweetie, but you only have a couple of minutes before they hang up on you.
Thank you for using IC Solutions. Goodbye.
And for the purpose of the record, I'm going to begin the playback of the second call.
Call number 8280.
I'm gonna try and fast forward through some of the preliminary information.
74.
Oh, wait. This fucking joint, huh? The same.
Hello, you have a prepaid call from
Contreras.
an inmate at Bexar County Jail. Your account balance is $37.40. To hear the charges for this call, press or say 2. To accept this call, press or this call will be recorded and subject to monitoring at any time. Thank you for using
Yeah, Mother and I was ringing. It's Amber calling me.
Who?
Amber?
Oh.
That was up with you guys earlier. Gloria was there.
Oh, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
This is
And
so.
then I have to go to the hospital visit the girls.
You understand me, yeah?
What happened?
No, I'm asking you.
No, we're waiting for people to get back, from, picking up the kids.
I'm picking up the shit, I don't get it.
The kids are in school. They restarted. They started today.
Are y'all going together or what?
We have to go together.
You gotta start with who?
Where's your son? Say hello.
Who's on that? Oh, what the hell y'all doing for? You haven't cooked or what?
No, I haven't done that.
Why?
But, hold on.
Hello? Huh? What's up? I'm gonna say they cooked. You must be late.
What?
Oh boy, you understand? I said, you know, he changes his jokes.
What's your saying?
I know that.
Yeah, I cooked ramen noodles already. Huh? I was telling him that I cooked ramen noodles, you know, because I'll be staying on that stove for that ramen. I was trying to be like you there, you know, how you're supposed to be in that ramen noodle right now, I'll be like you.
Dude, I don't even eat ramen noodles, dude. It's like, let's say, you know what, the spam?
Yeah.
Okay. Try eating the spam that tastes like box.
I don't even like spam.
Okay, but it has a taste of box. Your clothes, your drink, everything smells like it. No matter what it is, it smells like it.
And that,
Oh.
that's it. I'm not saying that this ain't up, my bad. That's just it. And, what's it? Robert said if you could steal some of the underwears.
Oh, you want Robert?
No, that was yesterday.
I know, man, stuff from underwear to the fucking place.
I see. He said, yeah, what's that?
You should know how many people use these fucking underwear.
I know he said they so good. I go, hey, you wanna know why they so good? He goes, well, I go, because everybody's balls is in on them.
Yeah. And it's a process I don't like, dude.
Yeah, he said it's a white one.
Yeah, like, sucks, dude, it sucks. I tell you now, man. I'm gonna slap you ever do something like this.
Oh. I know.
Is it the wrong time? The wrong place at the wrong time?
Yeah, dude.
And that's why I tell that's why they told.
Sorry, dude, don't worry.
That's why
I love you, guys.
I'm just kidding. That's why I told your mom just let things to play me out. I don't care. Remember, you and Carmen are the ones that are, you know, even though Gina's not mine, but Gina, Carmen, and you have the same mold that I have. I raised y'all.
I didn't talk to Karen stuff.
I know you stick to your sister.
Like I told her the day she was crying and everything. That on Friday. She was crying, so like, she was crying when we went to HEB when she was touching my boss. And I told everybody that I go, right now, Dad's not here, you know. I go, I thought we'd see, you thought we'd see, we were gonna make them up, alright? Like, that's it, we make up that, and she started thinking about it, and she knew where I was coming from.
See what?
She knew where I was coming from, like what I meant. So like, then we're gonna get you alright.
It's not about getting out, son. It's about this shit going away.
So like, then we're doing this.
I know that. I'm ready out for that. Who's your mom fighting with? And when I get out of this fucking joint, I want to eat something good, dude.
Alright, you want to go in that shit?
Oh, my stomach, dude. I'm not telling you, man. Like,
You should just sit down or what?
huh?
I said you don't want to get your tooth taken out or what? What?
You know how bad it is, dude?
What?
I'll eat Fritos. The plain Fritos with no Bindit. Than eating this.
Were you doing it? You sure?
Yeah, just like that, dude. I would just eat Fritos just like that. You can give me the suckiest chips in the world, and I'll eat those besides this shit. I'm telling you, the food here, dude, oh my god, dude, the smell of it. The image is, look at me, and I'm like, gee, y'all want this shit, 'cause I ain't eating it.
You want to take it or what?
Yeah, they take it. Y'all fucking chingas. They fucking last, man. They're all like, hey, we'll take your trade for you, and we'll go ahead, bro. on your own. I go and I lay down. And I start doing the push-ups and shit. And I start going that after my ass. Do it. Because I was doing push-ups at 3 in the morning. And then I didn't do anything. When they did the test and everything, I weighed 223.
223?
Yeah.
Yeah, I weigh 180.
Yeah, I got that shit though.
For real? I like cut off half of my fat.
Yeah, okay. Fucking funny there.
Hey. Yeah.
Did you ever get out?
Oh, it is. I don't work tomorrow.
Alright. Stay strong with family, right?
Huh?
Stay strong with family, keep them in check.
I will do.
Love you, Pop.
Alright, I'll see you at this day.
Alright, I'll let you go.
Alright, are you still here? We still on the phone? Shit. Then I'll use my car so I can wish for it. So I can put the business on you.
Yeah, Shirley told me she wrecked the car.
Yeah. She did before we did that, touching her leg, so that she wrecked the car.
Yeah, but I thought she was just crying because she missed me. No, she was crying because she wrecked the damn car.
No, this time she said she didn't care about wrecking the car. Yeah, she said she had a lot of stuff going on in her head.
Like I don't.
Shit, I have a lot of stuff going on. My head backwards, like right now. She hasn't touched the car since then. I've been dirty. Huh? I said, she hasn't touched the car since then. I've been dirty.
Shit. Two people that know how to run into shit.
That wasn't me.
You fucking snippy.
Yeah, what's it? I think it was Gina.
Oh, okay, blame the other ones, yeah. She never wants to go.
Gina has trouble running into shit.
No, I know. Believe me, run in the garage.
Yeah, she has 3 days. I have 1, 3 or 2. Is it different?
I'll tell you
Oh,
what.
oh no, she has 3. I had 9.
I just tell you what, I want to be with y'all.
You're right.
I want to get dropped off and I'm there by myself with people I don't want to be with.
Yeah, well, maybe I'm already talking about this. I'm gonna start working more hours so I could get so we could get more money so we could put it down for at least a small little farm for right now.
I know. When I was done that, I'm still going to church.
I said something about that's still going to church.
Yeah. I'm gonna stop, I told you that. So if I come out, I'm going to church Thursday. And then we'll go Sunday.
Okay.
See you at 5:30. Show you Mom I love her.
What are you doing?
Huh?
What are you doing?
What do you mean I'm doing?
Are you trying to hang up on me?
No. There are people watching the Expendables.
Expendables, what's that?
Yeah, yesterday we saw Transformer and the Adventures of Shaun of the something of, I don't know.
You ever really watch your movies in there?
Yeah. Yeah, it's on the TV, it's on the news and to see if I can see anything in case I saw, but I didn't see nothing. What do you
Is there on the news lately?
Huh?
Is there on the news lately?
Yeah, but what channel? 5?
There was, when I saw the news, I saw it on 12. I saw when they took you out.
Huh?
When you were walking out with the 2 officers. One looked like Chinese, the other one looked like kind of white. The reporter, if you have anything to say, you said not guilty.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw that. That was on 12.
You know one of the reporters is so stupid.
Yeah.
The government, they said, how long did you know this the victim? What are you to the victim? I go, are you serious, dude?
Are you to the victim? And what did he to me? I was like, what? Don't they already know that? No, I told me they didn't know that. What's that? I think that's explaining it. You're not like that now. Sorry, guys. Love you, come be careful, right? I know you too. That, are you too? You stay cool, blood. Oh, no, I don't. Love you, Dad. I know you too, Dad. But, bye-bye.
And so, just the last couple of questions for you. That second call where he's talking to the young man, he says, I'll slap you if you ever do anything like this. What date is that?
It's 8/14/2017.
Okay, and that first call with the woman on the other side of the line, what date is that from?
8/13/2017.
And then do you have in front of you, do you know the numbers that, I guess the phone numbers that were called when the call was placed?
Yes.
What was the phone number?
2104.
That's witness, Your Honor.
I don't have any questions. All right, ma'am, you're excused. The rules of invoke, you know what that means?
Yes.
All right, state, you can call your next witness. Yes.
I was allowed at that time to question her regarding the science, the validity of the science, and the fact that she relied on the court's opinion on whether or not it believed that the evidence should be. I don't anticipate anything being different today, but I need to, for the record, just not have that hearing again, but just ask the court to let me read into the record if we can. Well, Lauren's gone. There she is. If we can get the volume and the page number from the prior record and make that a part of this record, so the court can have, so the record will reflect the evidence that was heard in the prior hearing, and that can be, so for the purposes of the science, I just want to re-urge the hearing we had prior with the same evidence, if that makes sense.
Yes, so just to make sure, so we had a